you know, I'm sure the listeners don't want to see your awful bedroom or wherever you are. With the
That was mean.
what is that? A water behind you, or is that shampoo?
Oh, that's lube.
Oh, it's lube. Is that really lube?
It is Astroglide.
I didn't know you were a lube guy. Oh,
Yep.
hey.
I haven't boned anyone for a little bit, but yeah, I just kept it there.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is recorded. That is, you know, it's good. This way they can see the insides of our lives. 'Cause, you know, you and I, we're not just these like obtuse historians. We have personalities and personal lives. I think it's
yeah.
open the doors to everyone knows. You know,
Oh my goodness.
so everyone knows that like the great thinker Max also had lube. Yeah.
I said that to somebody the other day, like pretending I didn't want to fight with them, like being the cowardly guy. I was like, I'm a thinker. I think
It's weird because seeing those Greek statues, like even the thinkers were pretty ripped. 'Cause I think they were all like they had this whole thing of like your mind and body have to be like pretty in tune, you know.
yeah.
So like there'd be like 30, like 45-year-old guys, like ripped, big farmer bodies, but like also thinking a lot. That's a good discipline.
Yeah, it is.
Or did you find one?
I did. I saved it and it says it's in the all saves folder.
All
And there's no
saves?
such thing as that folder.
Do you not have like a downloads folder for your
It didn't go there. I clicked downloads.
Okay, weird. Maybe try saving it to your desktop and then get it off your
This is
desktop.
this is what happens every time I'm in front of a computer and explaining to the people what happens to me on the computer. They always say, "That's weird."
Yeah, well, this is like that's unlike anything I've experienced.
Yeah. And just
Yeah.
I have this great luck with computers. It's so rough. And now I can't find the picture online again.
Oh God, what was the picture? Was it like,
Just like a painting of a castle.
dude? Yeah, I was trying to find. I was trying to put one of the Mountain Blade photos as my background, like the from Warband. Dude. By the way, I suck ass at Bannerlord. Like the combat is so much harder. I can't even get past like one guy.
I know.
Dude, like I don't people like because you know the villages have those cool little quests. So like they have like the Family Feud one, right? Have you done the Family Feud ones on there?
Family Feud.
So like some villager will be like, "Oh, I have a family feud with this guy in this other village," and then you have to go like talk to that guy, and you usually have to fight him. But then like what happened was I took this guy's brother to this other village to squash their beef, and this guy from the other village killed the brother, and now the guy who gave me the quest is like furious because I got his brother killed, so I can't go back to the village anymore. I just keep like failing quests. I have like very low renown because like I'm just known for fucking up all these quests. It's
That's
such a
so
great
funny.
game, but it's like so hard. I don't know. I'm playing it on like the easiest level. It's oh man.
Yeah.
It, I mean I just hope the developers like make it easier because like it's such a cool world. I just want to be able to like live out my fantasies. You know, I don't actually want to have to be good at the game.
Yeah, man. No, I get it.
Oh, it's great,
I can't do anything on it either. I just started playing Warband again.
dude. Yeah, because Warband is like you can make it so easy. You can just you know like you can just do whatever you want. So it's nice.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I've made it hard, but it's not like
Oh
the
yeah.
hardest level on Warband is not as hard as the
Dude,
easy mode
exactly.
on
Because in this
fucking.
one, you have to like time your blocks. And, like I don't know. I just like my wrist hurts. I can't like move my mouse fast enough. Like I suck.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
like
Yeah,
Warband was already a carpal tunnel.
dude.
Um,
Seriously. Oh my god. Like just rotating the mouse when you're on your horse. It's so hard.
so
Yeah.
hard.
Also, to our listener, I'm gonna try streaming some Bannerlords. If you want to like hang out, maybe teach me some moves.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to teach you anything, but I'll
Yeah.
watch you teach yourself and make fun of you when you fail.
Hell yeah. Oh, it's such a great. Oh, there we go. Nice. Okay, now we can start. That's a proper. I actually like that
Yeah.
it's a bit pixelated. It's just a nice
It's
castle with a
pixelated?
mountain. I think it's a little stretched out, but it's good. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now you're like jittering a lot, but no, it's good. Okay. This is good. It's two philosophers just hanging out. Yep. This
There's
is
something
my.
wrong with my computer, right?
Why are you like bouncing? Well, I'm
Are you
excited for history. I'm
earthquake,
excited for
right?
history. Yeah, I mean, check it out. I'm in this nice Parisian terrace right now. I bet you're pretty jealous. I'm just out here thinking with some people at a coffee
Yeah,
shop. That's always been my biggest fantasy. It's like being a thinking man at a Parisian coffee shop in like 1920, where we're all like I reject your postulation, Marcel, and here's why. And then you know,
yeah,
he's like, he is correct. What did I do wrong? And he's just like pacing around his apartment for the next week, trying to figure it
yeah.
out. You know?
Have you
Yeah.
seen that old movie Love and Death by a notorious bad man Woody Allen,
No, I haven't seen it.
where they're talking philosophically, and he just has people put these philosophical words together to sound like they're
Just to
talking philosophy.
sound like a smart guy.
Yeah, and then there's one scene between him and Diane Keaton, and then they're like, well, existence can only be partially converted into universals, and blah 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 and blah. And then he just says that in his voice, like, existence can only be partially converted into universals. And then she says, can we stop talking about sex
Yeah,
all the time?
that's great. It's such a shame that he had to be like that. Why?
Yeah. It's a shame that he had to be one of the worst people imaginable,
I know,
because
but I'm like, it's just, you know what? It's still funny. Speaking of which, check out so I was watching that Louis special. I was on his website and I got his DVD of his short films. But now I can't tell anybody that I got it, so I can't post it on Instagram. But I do have his short films, so
you're
yeah,
supposed to use torrent for that, you know.
yeah. No, but, I wanted to throw him some money. It was cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just like $5. Be like, I got his thing.
Are they good?
I haven't watched. I've only watched a couple on YouTube. I've actually watched it yet, but yeah.
Judging by how good artists are who fucking
Or
sexually
yeah,
misconduct themselves,
yeah.
they are probably good.
And he's not as bad as Woody. He's not even a mile next to. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. He's like redeemably bad. It's all right. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, but yeah, it's been a while since we've been able to podcast. This is actually pretty good. I like this. This saves
Yeah.
us so much time with editing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is great. You know what? We're already like a few minutes in just from our natural banter, so this is already good.
Natural
Yeah,
banter.
but I get it though. That there was kind of a big inflation because I feel like a lot of people are now doing these kind of quarantine podcasts, but maybe we weren't the first choice you had. You just found us or something. But look at it this way: you're already 5 minutes in. What are you gonna do? Find another podcast now? You already clicked on us. What are you gonna do? Go out? You think you're gonna go out there and find another podcast right now? You're gonna go exit out of this one, find another one in 2 minutes? What are you, stupid? You're not gonna find another podcast. Just stick around with us. Just for
Especially
45
not
minutes.
podcasts with people with the same facial hair.
Yeah, exactly. Like we grew the exact same mustache
Yeah,
combo.
we grew the same facial
Yeah,
hair.
because my strategy was I shaved everything except for the mustache, and then I let the beard come in, so now I have a more prominent mustache. That I never knew that's how you did it. That's the solution.
Yep.
Yeah, see, two smart guys. So we
Two
think on the
smart
same level.
guys.
Yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna fucking go Google another history podcast? No, you're weak. You're weak. You're a weak person. You can't do it. You can't find anyone else.
Yeah,
You're stuck with us now.
it's funny. We
But
should change the name to Two Smart Guys.
two smart guys. I know we're very bad at finding unique names. We gotta,
Yeah,
yeah.
we are.
Oh man, yeah. So how is quarantine treating you? By the way, are you losing your mind?
Great. I have no arms.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yours is.
My
Oh, hey,
arms are
look at me. I'm
gone.
fading out too. Yep.
We should both do it and just not explain it. Cut this
I wonder
out.
how far I can go just before I disappear. No, it
Yeah.
sees me. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep. I don't know. Yeah,
Just
dude,
both.
it's bad. Nothing really satiates me anymore. Video games are getting kind of old. I think we're just gonna start reading a lot. Are you reading a lot, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I've been reading George Bernard Shaw's prefaces. It's the biggest book I've ever seen.
Jesus.
And let me find it. It's crazy. Um, oh, there it is. 1 second.
Oh, there he is. All right. You have the robe of Rasputin on. You have oh, I can't see it. It's being green screened.
Yeah, it's gone.
Oh, there it is. Oh
Look at
my
that.
God. These are just prefaces that he wrote?
Yeah, prefaces.
It's only prefaces.
Yeah,
It's like the Seinfeld where they have muffin tops but no muffin bottom.
yeah.
Yeah.
We should play peekaboo with each other with
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm pretty embarrassed to say this, but like for this episode, I did most of my research from this cartoon book. It's Marx for Beginners.
If you hold it up, just his head is there.
Yeah, yeah. The text is like, yeah, it's actually it's in the '70s. It's pretty good. Yeah,
Oh,
my
wow.
dad had it, so.
I was reading about Marx a little bit, and I read mostly about how Isaiah Berlin's but tiny biography of him is shit. Like that's all people
Oh,
want to talk about. They don't
I
want
haven't
to
read
talk
that
about
one.
the biographies that are good.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I used to be like really because like I remember like in like college I read like Poverty of Philosophy or Philosophy Poverty of Philosophy and then some other shit like early writings. I didn't understand any of it though. I just kind of like skimmed. Then I Google it. This is like honestly like I like I don't know why in college I was just doing everything lame. Like I should have been like talking to women and stuff, but I did not. I was actually going
Yeah.
to this like reading group for Marx. It was just like me and like other just hopeless people in a coffee shop just like talking about Marx. It was pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what people like. They like talking about like Marx and Foucault if they think they like books.
Yeah, I gotta say it does make you feel smart though when you're just like all postulating and
I know.
yeah.
Even the guy downtown who owns People's Coffee, big communist guy, he hates Marx. He's like, he's boring.
I don't
I
get it.
read Foucault. That's what he said.
Dude, that coffee shop is the biggest contradiction ever. They have giant posters of Marx. They have like 3 huge portraits of him. Nobody there cares about him or knows. They have like random elite writers on the wall. Nobody knows. Like they have like James Baldwin's photo on the wall. Nobody cares. I remember I was doing comedy there once and I was like making fun of the photos and nobody got it. And I bombed. It sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went on a couple dates there and I was like, "Do you know any of these people?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like the most obvious people too. Like they made it like very no one even know. Yeah, it's
yeah.
stupid.
My dates did know who they were.
Oh, that's good. That's a good
Yeah.
test.
They were
Yeah.
like, "Of course, are you fucking idiot?" They're like,
Yeah. Uh yeah, like imagine your date not knowing like Martin Luther King or something. You're like, ah man.
yeah. Well, that's why we don't that's why you don't date young people.
Yeah, they're like, oh, is he a YouTuber? You're like, ah. No, he's not a YouTuber.
Be a YouTuber. That's
Oh
so
man. But yeah, no, so this is supposed to be our like Red Scare episode. So this is kind of like our I don't know. I feel like personally, I always go for these like leftist history things. It's just an interesting thing in history for me because like history is all conflict and wars and revolutions, and a lot of those have to do with like communists and stuff. So it's interesting, I think. So like maybe even if you're not like a leftist yourself, it still could be interesting information. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you'll be very sure. We'll say it in such annoying ways that you'll be sure you're right.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
we can do for you.
Yeah, but also it's interesting about Marx is like even if you're not a leftist, Marx is correct about shit. Like if you could just read Das Kapital to be a better capitalist. You know what I mean? They could be like, he's got it all here. I could exploit people way better now because I know how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy wrote 3 volumes to help you out. So maybe if you're not a leftist, you could still be a better capitalist. So think of it
He's
that way.
he wrote so much about
Yeah.
the topic, and people get like three things out of it,
Oh,
like
poor guy.
dialectical
Yeah.
materialism and means of production,
Yeah, and
and
the surplus value, all that shit.
surface
Yeah.
value. The revolutions have to be bloody. Blood must be spilt.
Yeah. Oh man.
Opiate
I
of the
mean, he's
masses.
hard. I tried getting into Hegel. Hegel is like I don't even understand that.
Yeah,
Uh.
Marx's essay, critique of Hegel's philosophy of right, I think it's called.
Oh God. Yeah.
They're both really hard to understand. They're really,
Dude, it's crazy
that's
because
where
then Hegel was built off of Kant, and Kant is even like more big brain. So if you just keep
yeah,
going down, it's like it doesn't make any sense. I don't know if I can understand it. It's
yeah, no, that's yeah, Immanuel Kant's
oh,
whole thing is that you can't rely on reason.
yeah, because he was one of the first people to challenge. Like he divided science from religion, right? Like he was like these are 2 separate things, right? And he was like, we actually can't prove if there is a God or not, right? That was him. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. He
I
was a
actually
big
don't know. Someone should correct us. If you know
yeah,
anything about
I
Kant, just let us know.
yeah, that sounded right, and then I realized I don't know fucking anything about
Yeah.
it.
But yeah, no, okay. So, uh, should we get
I'm,
started on the old Marx guy? I have some notes.
yeah,
Oh, okay, sweet. Yeah, it's weird not being here, on the couch together where we can like, cuddle and make each other warm,
Oh,
warm each
to
other's
cuddle.
cockerels on the couch. Yeah.
Oh, to cuddle.
Oh, to cuddle. Oh, to nuzzle in your bosom. I wish I could do. Yeah, can't do it. But no, yeah. Anyway, so Marx was born in the 1800s. Some day. No, I'm just kidding. He was born May 5th in 1818 in Trier, because Germany didn't exist yet. It was all like Prussia and Bavaria and shit. So he was born in Trier, which is like southwest Germany. Then he was like his dad was a lawyer. And he was technically Jewish, but like he didn't practice it. And, like his family was kind of like his dad was like a Lutheran, so they were like kind of away from Judaism. Um, but yeah, then he moved to he studied law because his dad wanted him to be a lawyer. So he was like 19. He's studying law, and then he's just like a mess. Like he's just like making trouble in class already. He's like going after women a lot. He was quite a ladies' man. He was also drinking a lot. He drank a lot of wine. Um, yeah, and it was just kind of messed up. He fought in a duel, and he actually has a scar on his eyebrow from who was fighting for the honor of a woman, and he fought in a duel. So crazy guy, pretty nuts. He was atheist because Berlin at the time was like, I guess Berlin's one of those cities where it's like always pretty like subversive and crazy. Like Berlin back in like 1840 was like nuts. It was just
Yeah.
it was just gay people, all kinds of cool stuff going on. Big art scene, I imagine. A lot of techno, proto techno. A lot of clubs, big industrial leather parties. 1800s. Yeah, yeah. Just a lot of listening to like I don't know, craft work or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so he was like in that scene, and he's just like, oh, I got it all. Then everyone, and Hegel had just died, I think. So everybody in Berlin was like obsessed with Hegel, and then he was like really into Hegel. Um, and Hegel actually, so Hegel had this philosophy of history, and then when he died, actually the whole like leftist and right, like left and right, all comes from that. Because like when Hegel died, people became left of Hegel or right of Hegel. So that was like where it comes from. So and Hegel had this philosophy of history where he said that humanity advances because of conflict, right? Like that's when history moves forward. Is when like the people who are oppressed kill their oppressors, and that forms a new society, and then history moves on, right? That's kind of like the theme. But he was talking more like spiritually, like religiously. He wasn't really talking about like socially. Um, but then um, Marx kind of read that and was like, oh, but what if it was like social, right? And then he moved to Paris, and Paris was like even like crazier than Berlin. It was just nuts. It was just anarchist fucking like Paris. France had like 15 revolutions in like 40 years. It was guillotines all over the place. And it was like Napoleon, just nuts, just all kinds of shit going on. Yeah, and then in Paris, he was like reading all these other people. Like he was reading like Adam Smith, the very famous guy from England, the big economics guy, Adam Smith.
I can only think so. Adam Smith, his big thing was the invisible hand, and I
Yeah,
just think if Louis C.K. had one of those, he'd be in so much less trouble.
yeah.
Also, when I hear guillotine, I think of Ovaltine every time, and then I
Guillotine.
really want Ovaltine.
Wait, what's the deal with guillotine? The the blade is
What does the teen suffix mean? Because you've
guillotine.
got your Ovaltine and your guillotine and your quarantine.
Quarantine. I don't know. I don't even want to Google it. What do you think it would be? A guillotine. It's like
Guillotine.
is it
I'll
like
Google it right now.
is
I
it
have
like
a
the
phone.
implementation? It's like the guillotine. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Keep talking. I'll look it up.
Oh no, for sure. So yeah, so he was super into like Adam Smith, and like there's all these like French like revolutionary authors who was reading like Proudhon or whatever. I don't actually know what they were talking about, but he was like really into them. He also met Friedrich Engels, who big dog in history. That guy was Engels was a big deal. He was like writing a lot about like just the people's misery. Because also keep in mind this is like right when the industrial the world is moving into the big industrial era, right? It's the industrial. It's like mankind has ever changed this much in this short of time. Like all of a sudden, all of these peasants and farmers are turning into factory workers overnight, and the whole world is changing. Everything's crazy now. And so Engels and Marx like noticed this, and they're actually writing about it because Marx was actually writing at a newspaper, and he was actually one of the first people to do like political journalism. Like he was going around like doing articles on like poor people and how like all these workers, because it was pretty crazy. All these cities were changing, like everything was changing, and like holy shit, this is kind of like miserable. Like this is pollution and like sick people and like kids in mines. Like this is pretty fucked up. So they were
Yeah.
all writing about that. Yeah, and poor Marx was getting expelled from like everywhere. Like he was expelled from Prussia. Then he was like too radical to be in Berlin, so he got kicked out of there. He was too radical to be in Paris. Yeah.
I'm noticing familial differences because Marx is like my great grandfather or something,
Oh yeah.
and I was very close to being expelled from every school I've ever been in.
Exactly. Because he was such a like asshole in school. He was challenge his teachers all the time. Like it was just a pain in the ass. Like
Yeah, also
yeah,
the being the ladies' man and
yeah.
wanting to duel people over a woman's honor, that
Yeah.
sounds familiar.
Exactly. Drinking lots of wine. There you go.
Drinking,
Yeah.
yeah, drinking a lot of wine.
You literally have
Wow.
his hairline. Like you have his face. If you just grew your beard, you would look like a young Marx. It's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
When I go to People's Coffee, I sit under his portrait and I say I'm sitting at the feet of Grandpa Marx.
Oh man, if you just grew yeah, for Halloween, just like put on some weight, just do his pose of like
Yeah.
yeah.
Grow some hemorrhoids and
Oh dude, I feel bad for him because like he did not like he came from a pretty like kind of wealthy family, but he died in like extreme poverty. It was pretty bad. That guy
yeah.
did not have a good time because yeah, because he was getting like kicked out of every country because he was so subversive that like because he was pretty popular like within that intellectual circle. So people were just passing around his pamphlets, and it got like pretty bad. So it's like he was getting kicked out of like Paris. Then he finally moved to England, and England at this time was like it was just Charles Dickens up. Like it was fucking. I mean, it was just full on factories, like kids getting caught in like little gears and stuff. It was pretty bad. It was a lot of just misery and coal and mining and just awful shit, textiles. And so he was. This is, but for him that was great because it was like firsthand data. Like okay, I can make sense of all this. Because one thing I like about him was he was very scientific about the way he wrote. So he never like um what do you call it? Like he never speculated, right? It's like he would never guess anything. He always took things firsthand. So like there are some big events that happened, like the Paris Commune was a big deal for Marx because that was the first time people actually practiced like a very like initial form of like communism because there was this big revolution in Paris and the workers just walled off the section this section of Paris and just had this like anarchy kind of communist society for like for a while. And so everybody in the world was like amazed because like they just took control of Paris. It was just like awesome society. Everybody was like working together and stuff, and it got like brutally crushed or whatever. But like, yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, like everybody got killed. But
Yeah.
but like Marx is like pretty
Everybody died.
amazed.
It's fun that video games have made us so like nonchalant about death.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
maybe more than any time in history, I don't know, but we're just like, and they all
Yeah,
died.
they all got like they were all like impaled and like thrown over the wall, whatever. Yeah, it was pretty
Because
bad.
I was reading
Yeah.
that playing the video games and killing a lot of people, your brain doesn't know the difference.
Oh my
So
god.
you're actually kind of fucking up your frontal lobe by doing that all the time.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, we definitely are pretty desensitized because, like, for us, like, yeah, like back then, like, giving your life for a movement's a pretty big deal. But for us, it's like, ah, whatever. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
but people talk about life being precious, and then we're like, really?
yeah, really.
You
I
think
don't think
so?
so. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I've been shooting people in Call of Duty all day and
yeah,
putting my
all
balls on
day.
their face. Yeah,
I've killed thousands of people in my life.
yeah.
My brain thinks I have killed thousands of people.
What sucks is there's no way to turn it back. Once you're desensitized, you can't resensitize.
No, that you can.
You
It's
can?
it's
Do you think you can?
neuroplasticity.
Oh,
You
really?
know.
Oh, so it's pretty elastic. So if we take some time, like no video games, and we just kind of pet sheep and animals and have kids and all that, then eventually it'll go back. You think?
Yeah,
That's good,
it's about strengthening certain neurons.
right? It's kind of whole thing
Like
the
if
same
you,
with porn. If you don't watch porn, your sexuality will go back to normal. Like you won't
yeah,
be all like infested with awful, scenarios and incest or whatever people are into.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's good to what you got to do in that case. I've read
yeah.
about that too. Is just not think of porny things while you're whacking it.
Yeah. What do you think about? You just think of the universe. You just think
Yeah,
of.
you're just like, what if I find love and we are in
Yeah.
this? We are in a French hotel room and the light is coming through the white curtains.
It's like a fucking like Anais Nin story. Like you just think of like a random erotica.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and then
And
I
then
saw the French poster, the French mail boy, and I invited him into my room, and we
Christ
made
did
love
say
for
love your
days.
neighbor, though, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dude, not gonna lie, I have been after more wholesome things. Like I keep wanting some kind of like Amelie love story where like, you know, it's like this nice romance. That'd be nice. It'd be fun time.
I like the erotica.
Yeah, honestly, it's very wholesome. I think it's extremely wholesome. It's because now I feel like everyone's so morally destitute. No one wants a nice love story. Everyone just wants like, meh, meh. Like it's awful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the visual thing that like fucks you up,
Yeah, exactly. Everyone just wants like
right?
visuals. Like no one even is triggered. Like the humanity is all gone. It's like I just want heels and bikini. Like yes,
Yeah,
Grease and like oh, you sick monster.
fishnets.
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking about that too, because it's weird that like little bits of fabric around skin make us like the skin more.
Exactly. Well, because it's all
Yeah.
fetish. It's all fetish. It's just fetishism. Yeah.
Well, it's just, lingerie is pretty universally sexy, I think.
Yeah.
So it's just our weird brains. I don't know what that is. What's the evolutionary
uh, well,
what
I think it
causes us
shows
to
how like
like
how
a little
devolved we
bit
are.
of
Because
clothes on somebody?
yeah, it really is that lesser ape in us. That's just
Yeah.
just that ape brain. Yeah, but back to Marx though. He being a ladies' man, he was still pretty romantic because yeah, he actually had like tons of letters to his what is it, his wife, his long-term like wife, like Jenny von Westphalen, and he had all these like cool letters to her and stuff. It was all very nice, and he was a cool guy. Yeah.
Westphalen, Jenny
Westphalen,
von Westphalen.
Westphalen, no.
I tweeted today, and nobody liked it, but I tweeted that German is a language that's really rough when spoken by adults, but when little kids or old women talk it, it's so
Yeah.
cute.
I was gonna say also when gay men speak German, it's very good.
Yeah,
Oh, I want to do this. Oh,
yeah, ich
yeah.
tanzen,
Oh, ich mach ein.
ich
Yeah, yeah,
tanzen.
it's good.
It's
Like,
good.
yeah, nothing against the gays. I'm just saying.
No,
They're
of
good.
course not.
They actually win in that scenario because heteros speak awful German. It's all evil. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
Arbeit macht free. It's horrible. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah.
Macht.
Macht.
Oh, I
Man.
looked up the teen suffix,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's not teen, it's ine, which means pertaining to.
Oh, so it's pertaining to the Giat.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then so the guy who created it, his name was the guillotine. His name was like Guillot or something.
Oh, okay. So I thought guillotine was about like the shape of the blade or like the way it drops. Okay.
No, it's a
That's
man's name.
that's
It's
a bit
whose
weird to
name?
attach your name to an execution device. Like if
It
they
was
called the
even
electric chair like the Johnson chair, like that's because Johnson made it. It's
yeah,
yeah. It's like this is not a firing squad. This is a Bainey squad.
yeah.
This is,
It's a
yeah,
Baines.
yeah.
I recently learned that my my sister brought somebody to my show
Ah,
and
I hate
a
that.
while ago, and then she like texted me the other day and she was like, how are you? And I said, great. Is your friend with the piercing single? And then Rachel was like, yeah, that's my girlfriend, have fun processing that, and like stop
Oh.
texting me.
Uh,
And then I talked to her, and then I was like, you're catnip for babies. And
uh,
she's like, that's true.
that's a weird. Yeah, it's very weird to have like multiple siblings of a family after you. That's a bit weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so weird.
You have
I
to
didn't
choose
have
one
any
of us.
trouble processing it. What?
It's like you have to choose one of us.
You have to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, no, anyway. Yeah, so he was in Paris, he went to England, and then he was like really poor there. Because like the longer he was in England, the more poor he was. Like he literally had to go to like he literally couldn't leave his house because he like his clothes were at the pawnbrokers and stuff, and he had no pens. Three of his kids died because they had no medication. Then his daughter died after a year, and then they couldn't even afford a coffin to bury her in. So they had to like get like a fucking. They spoke to this French guy and he gave him £2 to buy a coffin, and her body was just in the other room for days. So it was pretty awful, and like all this trauma kind of got to him, and he had like depression and yeah, hemorrhoids, and
oh yeah,
so he
the
yeah
like a
he
weekend at Bernie's thing with his daughter.
Oh god.
Because he has this dead person he's staying at her
A
house.
weekend at Carl's. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah, so he died. He died at the age of 65, poor, destitute, and not many people read his books until way after, pretty much until the Russian Revolution. So yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
bad. So poor guy. Um, but yeah, so I was thinking for this one, we just explain some of those concepts because I feel like there's a lot of big buzzwords that everyone talks about, like on Twitter or whatever, but no one really understands what it means, right? Um, but yeah, so pretty much, I think in the like in history, I think it's cool to like understand what him and Hegel were talking about because it makes history make a lot more sense too. Because like I think when people think about history, they think of it as like the progression of like technology or like history and ideas, but it's not. It's a lot more that's not that accurate because like if you look at it, like the Romans had a lot of technology, but then a lot of it went down and came back up, and that's not really a good marker, right? Like you can like human history isn't just becoming more advanced. It's actually like the history of like classes, right? Because it's classes like emerge and go away, and then new classes come in, and that's kind of how. And there's conflicts between them, and those conflicts are what like move man forward, you know. So like back in the very first society, you had like fucking cavemen just running around like hunter gatherers, and that was like probably the most pure form of like communism. Was this is like tiny societies of like roaming humans, and everybody worked, and everybody just like got like deers and killed geese or whatever, and like brought it back to the fire, and that was it. And you just got like berries and geese and deer and other people and ate them all, and that was it. Yeah, it was nice. But then eventually humans stopped roaming around, and they eventually like they were like, hey, what if we just like planted some crops and put some sheep and made a fence around some animals, and we just like live in a place instead of like moving around. And that was like that's when civilization starts, is like agriculture, right? So like
Yeah.
humans fucking develops towns, and that's when oppression starts. Because at some point, some human was like, "Wait a second, everyone has to work, but I don't want to do that because that's hard. So I'll find a way to exempt myself from working because labor is everything. Like if people stopped working, there would be no society. It would just crumble to nothing.
Yeah.
Like if people stopped working in 3 days, all of humanity it would just collapse. There would be no society, no goods. Everything would die. It would be horrible. So people have to
But
keep
that's a
working.
small price to pay for not working.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, if we could not work, God, that'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Exactly.
We'd be in higher danger of being murdered at every point.
Yeah.
People would be burglarizing our houses, and we're like, "Hey, what's up?" And he's like, "This is the price for not working." And we're
Yeah.
like,
This is the
"All right,
price.
take it."
You didn't want the society, so that's it. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, I was like,
it's
"Okay, you can take the television. I don't mind."
yeah. You know what? I honestly, I was kind of thinking there kind of should be like a Brave New World kind of thing where like half the world has a society and half the world doesn't have a society. So you just get to choose. Like, hey, like, do you want to be? You you either can work and be safe, or you can not work and be lazy, but you can also be killed at any time. And yeah, so
Yeah,
I think it's fair. I
it
don't know.
is fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Italo Calvino has a story called Black Sheep. And then it starts there once was a town where they all were thieves. And everyone's a thief, and it's great because they all steal from each other. And everyone steals from the house to the left, and then one honest guy moves in and fucks everything up. He just is like shy, so he doesn't steal from anyone.
Dude,
And
yeah.
so society's like, why the fuck aren't you stealing?
What are
And
you
then
doing?
some people
Steal.
got more items than other people, and it all collapsed. And then they had to create jails, and then they had
That's
to make
hilarious. That's so funny. It really is like the Wild West. Everyone's a bandit, and then some sheriff comes in and ruins it. Yeah.
yeah. It just like, but it was just one nice guy. That's it.
He was just trying
He
to
was
help.
like, they like somebody. There's a scene where somebody says to him like, "Aren't you gonna steal my stuff?" He's like, "Oh my God, no! Why would I?"
Why? That's horrible.
That's
No. It's
horrible.
you steal from me and I steal from you. It all works. It's all good.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
all works. And he's like, "I'll just stay home. I don't know."
I know. Yeah. No, it's the same with like piracy. Like they had all these cool pirates, and they had to fucking ruin it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Honestly, I think
stupid Woods
some parts of the
Rogers.
world. Yeah, it's what sucks about the globalization. There should be some parts of the world that are just anarchic. Like just whatever goes.
Yeah,
Yeah, if we just for sanity's sake, just have some places.
it's rough. You know the legend of Libertalia?
Libertalia.
Yeah.
It's like a cove, a pirate's cove. Sounds like a
Yeah,
good name
it
for
was
a cove.
supposed to be a pirate utopia on Madagascar.
Oh yeah, no, that's where Uncharted 4 was. I think we talked about this on the pirate. Yeah, yeah.
Uncharted
Libertalia.
4 like took the idea and just made up their own stuff about it. But
Ah,
it
that's
was a
fucking
real
cool.
legend. And then so like people would go to Madagascar trying to find this utopia and they could never find it because somebody just made it up.
Oh, that's pretty funny. People are so gullible and dumb.
It was so stupid, especially back then when there wasn't education.
Yeah, it's so funny because back then, like people would like, there'd be some young traveler and some old man would be like, "Oh, have you heard the legend of this gold?" And he would like spend 10 years after this gold because some old guy told him. No, no fucking verification or anything. Just what an idiot. Yeah, like it's like what's
Yeah.
that book? The not the pilgrimage, the one with the shepherd, like Paulo Coelho, the Alchemist. It's like some
Yeah.
guy, some douche just tells this guy as an alchemist, like North Africa, and he like travels like 5,000 miles to find the alchemist. It's like you have no evidence at all. Why would you do that? Idiot. Anyway,
Oh,
so
Paulo Coelho. I want to kick him.
didn't he die or did the other guy die? I don't know.
Did he die?
I think he died. I don't know.
I
No,
got
he
a
didn't die. The
strange. I had a strange moment of elation when you said that.
I think what's his face died. Gabriel Garcia, the 100 Years of
Oh,
Solitude. I think he
he's good
died.
though.
He's good. That's a good one. Yeah, I like
He's a
that
good man.
guy. Yeah.
Um,
But yeah. But anyway, so back. So yeah. So like,
I just like taking you on tangents.
no,
That's the
no,
most fun
these are
thing.
good. No, I just forgot what I was talking. Yeah, so kind of these like these like proto, because it shows like in history there have been times when there have been actually functioning like communist societies, but they've always been like very small and very primitive. So no one knows how to do this on a very large scale because like it's easy to do if you're all eating berries and whatever, but like if you want to have computers and iPhones, it's a lot harder. When humanity is a lot more advanced, it's hard because you have so
Yeah.
many people and things have to be produced. And then, yeah, and people always find a way to exempt themselves because at some point, some guys like, you know what, you guys go ahead, you guys do the hard work. I'll just sit back here and talk to God or something. Yeah, because that was the first division. Because first, in the beginning, everybody was a worker, but then religion kind of changed things, and people divided themselves based on that. Like in ancient Egypt, that's how they divided it. Like the fucking, it was literally one guy was like, okay, the gods have appointed me emperor, and now you all have to be slaves. So in the afterlife, you have a better life. And everybody was like, all right, like that just worked, and it was really weird. So like that, but so that divided it, and then like so now you have like two classes. You have like the clergy, the emperor, who are like separated from being like divinely chosen, and then you have everybody else is just a slave. But then as society gets like more complicated, then there's like more and more levels. Like you have like clergymen, you got like doctors, you got merchants. Then you got
And
all these
this
other
was
people.
all Marx's idea.
Yeah, so he was kind of thinking like, what if history? He was kind of going off of Hegel, and he was like, okay, so Hegel was right that history is like the sum of all these conflicts, but those conflicts happen between classes because eventually one class gets so big that it gets fucking fed up, and then it just kills the class above it, and then it becomes the new class, and this just keeps happening. So like the clergy eventually like feudalism is like the clergy running everything. They're like, all right, well, you have a noble and some clergy and everybody else, and the merchants and the workers and peasants are all down here. But then the merchants were kind of sick of it because the merchants were getting bigger and bigger, and they got sick of it, so they revolted. And then that was like when kind of like the what is it like the Renaissance around that time that like the merchant class became really big, and that's when capitalism started when they became the ruling class. So it's actually crazy because capitalism at some point was pretty radical because it was like at its first time was pretty radical, and Marx even says like mankind can't just go from point A to point C. You have to go
Yeah.
through all these phases to get to the end. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
capitalism's the bridge to communism.
yeah, because for how fucked up capitalism is, it does have some good things about it at that time that like it it lets you produce things really fast. You can like you make tons of stuff. It grows really fast. It's like very very productive. So like for that time, it was really good because
Yeah.
society was just like transforming. Like because in feudalism's times there was no need to make shit. It was just like why bother inventing stuff? We already got our castle. Like yeah, you don't need to do anything. But
Yeah.
then when merchants run everything, then it's like the innovation just goes up and it just expands. But then eventually capitalism gets to the same point that feudalism did, where it starts over burgeoning and it starts being too oppressive, and then the need to surpass that comes, and that's what Marx is talking about. Like eventually, then some other system has to surpass that. So this is all very boring, but yeah, that's pretty much what he's
I
talking.
like it. I was thinking about how like we need a socialist safety net for people who don't have shit. And
Yeah,
then the reason the Nordic states do it so well is because they're like furious capitalists. It's
yeah,
because they have this like dirty capitalism and oil getting to
yeah.
to fund the socialist safety net that makes it so it's so nice to live there.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because yeah, cool, because it's crazy because like if you had like a perfect capitalist state, you wouldn't have any of that shit. Like people would work like 24-hour days, because like there'd be no days off, there would be no wages, because then that way the surplus would be maximum. And so all these like things like minimum wage, unions, this all comes from Marx, because like he was like, you have to have some institutions, so like so it's not so brutal. But then
Right.
eventually, but yeah. So anyway, so kind of going forward from that, like he kind of also talks about like the means of production, right? And this is like I like it's like when dumb people are like, oh, like he's gonna take my property, like I have to share my PlayStation with people if it's a communist. No, it's like he's not talking about property like your trampoline. He means like property like shit that's used to make other shit. That's what's property, like
Yeah.
because pretty much in a capitalist society, people own capital, which is like factories and shit, and then they hire people to work there, and then with capital they produce commodities, and then they sell those commodities, and then they make money, and then they make more shit, and it just loops forever and ever, and it gets bigger and bigger, and that's the whole thing, and that's it. So um, but yeah, and Marx is saying that like in a communist society, instead of that dude owning the capital, everybody owns the capital, and that way we all benefit instead of just one guy, which is not that radical or bad. But
No,
because of that, millions of people have died. So yeah, it's
yeah,
pretty crazy.
it's so crazy. And then
Yeah,
it's funny that he talked about like his whole idea was to make things a little more compassionate.
yeah.
And then to do that, he talked about so we need to be brutal to get to a place where we can stop this brutality.
Exactly. Which he has a point, because like just try telling someone to give up their property. It's like, hey, I know you own this. You want to just like let everybody else have it? They're not gonna do that. They're not gonna. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was oppressing everybody. Here, take it all. Take it all of it. I'm so ashamed.
Yeah.
You know.
They just
Yeah.
it has to be voluntary, but there's a whole job where they like are paid commission for getting people to give up their shit.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty interesting now, because like in the coronavirus times, like there are billionaires who are actually like paying their workers and like helping out, and that's pretty cool because they don't have to do that,
No,
because it'd be very
they
hard to
also don't
force
have
them
to
to.
hoard all that fucking money.
Yeah,
Nobody
exactly.
needs a
It's like
billion damn
you could have
dollars.
done it earlier, but yeah.
They just have that because like billionaire is a title now. They
Oh
want
yeah,
the title
exactly.
of billionaire.
Yeah, so so yeah, it's interesting. Like, I know that's true. It's like they could have just done that this whole time.
Yeah, they could have
It
like
took a
they could
pandemic.
build the biggest. They could build like a Babylon, like a Babel-sized water slide that goes all the way up to heaven
Oh, of
with
course.
their
No, like
billion
I'm pretty sure
dollars.
they literally could pay their workers forever, and they would still turn a giant profit. Like it would be
Yeah,
fine. Yeah.
they could make each one of their workers comfortable for the rest of their lives and not have to work, and
Yeah.
just cycle people out.
Well, because it's such a fucked up equation. Because basically, it's like, okay, like if you are a capitalist, you have like you buy some, like say you want to make T-shirts, you buy your printing press, but then someone has to work to turn the materials in the press into a T-shirt. So then you
Yeah,
pay some guy, but the thing is, if you don't, you have to pay him, or else he'll like kill you or something. So
yeah,
but then but like if you don't pay him and he's your slave, then you make the most money, which is actually how slavery was so like advantageous for slave owners back in the day, because like that's the perfect capitalist system, because you just don't pay them and they work forever for free, and that's yeah, maximum profit, so it's a bit scary.
it
But
is. It's
yeah,
like that's the exact word, Aresh. Good
yeah,
job.
like it
It's
literally gives you
scary.
incentive to enslave someone. It's like, oh man, I'm paying you minimum wage, but if I didn't pay you and owned you, Oh man, I could sell
Yeah,
these T-shirts for.
so funny. It's purely American. It's like we want to own things and people aren't people.
Yeah.
That's the
So
most
like, yeah,
American
like,
thing you can do.
yeah, like it's not by accident that like fucking people in the 1600s were like, what if we just owned people instead of paying them? They're like, that'd be pretty
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
like the ancient Romans did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
They had a great
there's a reason
time.
for all this. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of religious pretext for it, but they just like enslaved other people of the same race who were
Yeah, yeah.
lesser.
And yeah, and Rome was an interesting class society because they had like a very weird democracy for Romans, but then they had like other castes for other people. It was like very weird. So it was
Yeah,
just like really strange.
yeah. I was today before talking to you, I was actually this is kind of real, not really, but I was
Yeah.
looking up like the Tajiks, the
Oh yeah,
ethnic groups,
that's
and
my
they have
people.
beautiful dress.
Oh
They
yeah, they're a
dress
very cool
beautifully.
culture. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
so
they're
colorful.
yeah. Honestly, yeah, it's a very interesting area because it's kind of like the overlap of like the Middle East and then like the Mongols. So it's like a very weird, like it's like Mongols who ride horses and then like Middle Eastern people. It's like an interesting fusion. I like it.
Yeah, it's like it's
Yeah.
very it's almost indistinguishable from like Indian dress.
It kind of creeps me up because it's such a small country that like anytime I like look up like Tajik people, they all just look like me. Like it'd be very, I just can't be like attracted to them. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we're all related. It's very weird. Yeah,
That's so
yeah.
funny. Yeah.
Oh man.
That's what I feel like when I look up Marx.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Have you
can't be attracted to this guy.
Dude, speaking of which, have you seen that thing in like I think it was like in one of those stands in one of those like former bloc countries? Like it's like illegal to mention coronavirus. You can't even mention it. It's like,
Where?
yeah, it's in one of those like it's in one of those stand countries, and like
Oh, Jesus.
yeah, so like you can't they just denied it. Like you can't mention that it happened. That's so great.
They're treating it like the
Yeah,
Turkish genocide.
yeah. Honestly, I gotta say those Turkic people do love denying stuff. It is that's their favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Like it never happened. But then it's weird because they deny the Armenian genocide, but they also kind of say it happened. They're like, first of all, we didn't genocide you. Also, I hope you all die. It's like a weird. Yeah, we didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the same with Holocaust
right.
denial.
Yeah,
It's the exact same.
yeah.
Like, God, I hate the Jews, but they didn't die.
Like whoa, 6 million? We did not kill that many. I mean, I wish yeah.
I was thinking about like Hitler would have probably been mad that everyone's denying the
Right.
Holocaust.
It's like, oh really? You're not gonna give me credit for this? Yeah,
Yeah, it's like I worked hard
yeah.
on that.
That's a lot of hard work, man.
Jesus
Like,
Christ.
hey, yeah. Wait, I'm sorry. Do you know how many spreadsheets we had to put together for all those trains and all that fuel
Yeah.
costs? It's a big
We
supply
had to
line, man.
reduce people to numbers
Yeah.
like all day.
Look at this. Look at I wrote it all down. Are you gonna disprove this? It was 6 million. Fuck you. God.
Yeah.
Yeah. The the fucking arrogance of these people to deny it. Oh.
Yeah. It's just like it's so weird that they do that. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe Hitler would like it because it would be easier to make them do it again
Oh,
if
yeah.
if nobody believed it happened.
Oh God.
But
Ugh.
I don't know.
Well, that was dark. That was a dark turn.
It was.
We got
I think when you joke about a dark thing, you should like take it to the darkest
yeah,
place.
exactly. No, I just like had nothing to say, so I was like, oh man, we're kind of in some weird. No,
It's just funny that if you joke about that, you build on it until it's real.
yeah, like oh, that'd be so funny. Like if we just did that.
Oh yeah, no, it's just like you build on it until it's like, oh, this is, oh yeah,
Oh
those were
yeah,
all individuals.
yeah. I think it shows we have some humanity. We're not
Yeah,
monsters.
of
Yeah,
course, you have to bring it in at some point.
yeah.
Can't just wallow in, ah, what if Hitler came back and then he was,
Oh
you
man. No,
know.
honestly, like it's funny because like I'm very amazed and impressed by like the collective Jewish humor about the Holocaust and Hitler. Like
Yeah,
they poke some serious fun at that. That is, whew,
Sarah Silverman
yeah.
has such funny things about it. So does Jessica Kirsten.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they both have people who are from Israel who get upset at them. And then they hate people from Israel, or at least Kirsten does.
I never
There's a
understood. I
video
still don't
on
understand the dynamic. Or yeah,
Yeah, there's a video online of Jessica Curson like making a Holocaust joke. No, she makes a joke about like the synagogue being shot up the night it got shut up,
Oh.
and then somebody in the audience is like, you can't joke about that," and Curson's like, "Super Jew," and then she's like, she has the guy get on the piano on the organ. He's like, "Dur, dur, 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 dur." And she's like, "She's a super Jew."
Oh, that's pretty great.
She's so funny.
Dude, yeah, it was pretty fucked up. I saw some news article where like a synagogue somewhere got like graffiti, like someone did Nazi graffiti on a synagogue during quarantine. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like, how much do you have to hate somebody to do that? That's
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, they left their house. They
yeah,
disobeyed like the state order to go and fucking.
yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
It's awful. Yeah,
Yeah, they were that passionate about doing that.
I know, man.
They
Yeah,
got home, they were at home and they were thinking about it, and it was going on in their brain. It's like, I'm really passionate about making
yeah,
Jewish people feel terrible today.
yeah. No, it's pretty good. I bet he like came home and was like, oh, I forgot to go to the grocery store. I gotta make a second trip now. Uh, damn. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard the term JAP, Jewish American Princess, the other day. Somebody said these Japs, and I said, "What the
Whoa.
fuck?" And then
Whoa.
they were like, "No, I mean Jewish American Princess." I was like, "Okay, maybe
All
that
right.
should be an initialism, not an acronym."
Yeah, Jewish American Prince.
Yeah, they're like,
JAP. Come on.
I guess that's a real thing.
But, it's funny because a nip is a bad word,
Yeah,
but it comes because in Japan they say Nippon is like that's Japan.
yeah,
So it's like I think it's a shortening of that. So I think it's not as bad as Jap. Yeah.
yeah. But I have you heard the joke in 30 Rock where Jenna can't sing, her voice is all gone, so she ends up singing like this. And then Pete's trying to figure out what's doing it, and he comes to a room. She's like, "I figured it out, Jenna. It's the yips." And she said, "God, I hope Congress passes a law to get him out of our country."
Oh.
He's like, "No, it's the yips. You're nervous."
Oh God, that show's amazing. So good. Uh, oh man, dude, speaking of, have you seen that show on Amazon Prime? Like the alternate history, the Man in the High Castle. That's a great show.
I want to watch that.
Dude, it's pretty cool too because I'm not sure why, but they have like different terms. So instead of so yeah, they call the Japanese pawns like Nippon pawns.
Yeah,
Then they call the instead of Jews they say Semites. So it's like, oh, there's a couple Semites here. It's like really
yeah,
creepy because they have like different terminology. That's a great show though. It's cool.
yeah. It's also, does it bother you when people say Semitic?
No, I mean it's a valid. I think people misuse the term
Yeah,
because
it's
tons of groups
instead
can
of
be
Semitic though, they say Semitic.
Semitic. Oh, like
Yeah,
some like kinetic energy is Semitic energy. Yeah,
Semitic.
yeah. That's Woody Allen's jokes. He's a lot of Semitic energy. Yeah.
That is a Woody
He's
Allen-esque
giving out a lot
joke.
of Semitic. Um, what's the equation? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I had a funny thing about Marx. He actually he couldn't get a job at a railroad house because his handwriting was so bad. Uh, so he got
Another
fired.
family trait. Do you want to see
Yeah,
the handwriting?
he had like terrible handwriting.
Yeah, that's something that's run in our family. I'm gonna get my notebook.
Oh man, it was horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, look at this handwriting on this torn piece of paper.
Oh,
I'm trying to get it to
oh, I
stop.
see. That's actually very similar. If you look at his handwriting, it was very similar. It was all very long. He literally wrote like the Constitution, like it just very big lines, so like, you can't
Oh
tell
yeah, no,
anything.
that's how I write. This
Yeah,
is
no,
definitely definitely the thing. I want a graphologist or whatever they call him to look at his handwriting and mine, and they're like, "Yep, you're his grandson."
I bet it is the gene. Yeah, it's the gene.
It's the gene.
But you know what?
Yes.
I hope you have a better life than him though, because like because if your life goes the way his life goes, and then by the time you're 60, you're just gonna be this like old hemorrhoid man
Yeah.
dying.
Probably not. I mean, it'll
Maybe not.
probably be the same and worse.
Yeah. Nah, man. But yeah, no. Honestly, yeah, he's definitely like an interesting. I mean, that's an understatement, but like, yeah, it's kind of depressing that like he had these like very grand ideas, but they were just so big and dense. It took like 50 years for people to like read it and make sense.
Yeah.
But, yeah, but no, he was cool too because like he was kind of like a big materialist, which is also a Hegel a Hegelian thing. Because like pretty much like because like Marx was in Berlin and Paris. He was always in these like big like philosophical circles, but he was very sick and tired of like philosophers because like most philosophers were pretty useless because he was kind of like him and Hegel were kind of mad that like all philosophers did were just think, but they would just like think of shit that could not ever exist, that could never happen, and was just kind of useless. It's like, what's the point if you can't make it happen in the real world, right?
Right.
So Hegel was like actually talking about how to make shit happen in the real world, like put it into practice, which is actually what like materialism is like the actual realities of things, like because people always talk about like how you would make the perfect society, like what's a utopia, all this kind of shit, but no one ever explains how to get there. They're like, you can't just flip a switch and everybody's just like, oh, I'm a communist now. You can't
Is
just
this similar? Is materialism similar to that guns, germs, and steel theory, where
kind of, yeah. I think
yeah,
because
where
it's more talking about less about like the conquests and resources, but more about like the actual divisions in society where labor comes from. Um,
okay,
yeah, because like it's interesting because like if you look at it, like capitalism came in Europe much earlier than other parts of the world, and because it had to, because like these feudalist societies were just crumbling, and they had a very big burgeoning merchant class, and so it came very early into like industrialism and like mercantilism and stuff. But then the rest of the world the rest of the world didn't have a need yet, so like they were kind of late. So it kind of does align with that guns, germs, of steel theory, but
yeah,
it's kind of like a different side of the coin. But yeah,
yeah, okay, interesting.
yeah. So
It would be fun to do a like a reading of both together.
yeah. I still haven't read guns, germs, and steel, so I'd be down. Yeah, that'd be a good.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do it.
yeah, but yeah, and what is it? It's and countries like the France in the 1800s, the UK, the US, those are all very big capitalist societies, and
Mhm.
once again, like capitalism expands so quickly that like that's the reason those countries became so big and powerful, is because like they could just make shit, and then that was you know and
Yeah,
capitalism needs more resources, like feudalism or slave societies aren't like that resource heavy, but capitalism always needs more and more resources and more people and more. It just grows and grows, and
yeah,
so that need for growth will turn into a need to like attack other countries and take their resources and shit. So that's where all that comes from. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, it's crazy, but yeah,
There's a I don't know if you can draw a connection between like fascism and art autarky, where they have to have all the resources made there and they don't want to trade with
yeah,
anyone. They have to be isolated. But like in capitalism, it's just consumerism. Just we need all these resources, so
yeah.
they want everything to be made in America and shit. That is a fascist impulse, it seems
Oh,
to me.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's super. It's where like colonialism comes from. It's like, oh hey, we found this country and they have tons of like oil, or so now we'll just take them over and then siphon it so we can use it for our own stuff. So yeah, it's all
yeah,
fucked up. But yeah, no. So it's kind of cool though, because like because he was actually talking about like, okay, how would you actually transform a society? Like, how would you actually like how do societies actually change? Yeah, because and it's always through conflict. Like it's pretty crazy. Because
yeah,
he was like because what's crazy is like for like the like industrial times, like everything changed so fast. Like literally, a guy was a farmer one day, and then the next day he's a factory worker. So he loses all his skills, like, and then he has to learn new skills, and so society gets like de-skilled and re-skilled, and like these huge dramatic shifts happen. So it's like pretty
yeah.
nuts. Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. Also, I just been kind of boring this episode, but sorry, this isn't like really
oh no,
funny.
not at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I don't think so. You just say smart things and then you get
No,
self-conscious.
this is not fun.
And
I'm
then
gonna find a way to
you'll
make an
say
anal
smart
joke or
things and
something.
you'll be like, ah, but I'm not smart.
Yeah.
Stop.
No, but yeah, but it's pretty cool. So then, and then like later on, like guys like Lenin kind of found Marx, and they were like, "Holy shit! Like, what if we actually did this?" Which is why Lenin is kind of applauded in history, because like he was one of the first people to like read Marx and then apply it in the real world, which is pretty crazy. That's nuts because it actually worked. Well, maybe
Yeah.
not worked, but like it. Yeah, it's crazy. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, and I mean, like, and Marx's ideas were so correct because like he was so scientific that like even people who don't agree with him, who aren't communists, still agree with like the scientific principles of like what he was saying about capital because that is all true. Like that is all real.
Yeah, he wasn't so much of a guesser like a lot of writers are.
Yeah,
Like
no, and like
most interesting writers, it seems to me, the writers who are least boring are guessers.
yeah,
Just for like working things out in a sort of poetic way.
exactly.
Whereas he was very concrete and wanted to be sure he was working
Yeah,
off like real
he
principles.
yeah he never speculated. He only took from what he had. So like he would like he really studied like the workers in England and like how things worked and like he was, which is why it's all pretty correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, and he kind of had this point where like you kind of have to let capitalism get to a point of development before you move somewhere else, because like once the workers like take the means of production, then they have to like society changes all of a sudden, so you have to have a good foundation or else it's all going to just crumble because
yeah,
and one thing he gave credit to capitalism for was that because everyone gets like de-skilled and reskilled, but skills become more general, which is a very interesting thing because like back in the old days everybody had a very specific skill. Like one guy was a carpenter, one guy was a cobbler, farmer. These are all like very different skills, but in a factory like one guy could work at like 10 different factories. It didn't fucking matter. It could just like you could just do anything. So like jobs became more and more general, and so workers could move around more and do other shit, which is a pretty cool thing about capitalism. And that goes forward in other societies. So it's like there are pros and cons. So it's like it's interesting that way. But yeah.
yeah.
Because like for us, like like if we get unemployed, we can go work anywhere. We can do a lot of jobs. So but some jobs are obviously more specialized, like doctors. But a ton of jobs are very like like call center or whatever. You can work anywhere. So it's
I don't like the
yeah.
movie Step Brothers that much, but the part where he's like trying to be a doctor because his dad is, and he says it's who you know.
Yeah, it's weird. I
That's
love that we got a
funny.
Step Brothers reference in here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's who you know.
yeah,
It is not who you know.
yeah, it's not who you know. Oh man, but
Oh,
yeah.
I was
Anyway,
thinking about this also that fascism is the same, like, has a similar etymology to the slur fag because they both mean bundle of
yeah,
sticks.
both bundle of sticks.
Yeah. And then,
And bundle of sticks was not good at all.
no,
Yeah, horrible. They're just terrible. Yeah,
so bad. It's just like, in fascism, it meant like if we are together as one
yeah. You
bundle,
can't
we
break
are
us because we're
stronger.
yeah.
And then,
And they're like,
and then
also, what if we
fascists
burned you on
use,
one? Yeah.
yeah, fascists use that word against gay people.
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah, it's so confusing because like Nazi is like National Socialism, but it's actually not socialist. It just means like everyone's in the army and like the military makes everything. It's like a weird. I don't know. Very weird. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a different, different view of socialism, different
yeah. Which
sense.
is I hate because like I feel like anytime you have like a like political argument with people, they always have these like gotchas, like gotcha arguments, like oh, but the National Socialism, that's communism, right? And it's like no, you idiot. That's just it's just a flashy term for in the 30s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's all I had on the guy. Did you have
Yeah.
any stuff you wanted to talk about?
Stuff I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
No, he was. I mean, I knew he was an asshole, and he had hemorrhoids that made him just a piece of shit to people. He was always
yeah. He was
grumpy.
really grumpy.
There's the old adage about a sick man becomes a monster or something like that. The sick man becomes a monster, a beast or something.
Oh,
Um,
I wonder where if that's where obese comes from. Like, oh, beast, it's a beast. It's like a obese. I don't know. Oh, it also explains why fat people are so mean and ornery a lot of the
oh
time.
my gosh.
Because I've noticed it's either very jolly fat people or very like grumpy fat people who are they just want to ruin everyone's day because they're fat.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
just kidding. No.
that's
But,
crazy.
yeah.
I don't know if I can. I'm gonna be. I was talking to my friend Maddie the other day, and I was like, I'm gonna be a real fat piece of shit one day. And she thought I said, "You're gonna be a real fat piece of shit."
You're gonna.
Then she like was starting to like cry, and I was like, whoa, what? And then,
Oh god.
and then why are you crying? Did you just say I'm going to be a real fat piece of shit? When I was like, no, I did not say that.
It's one of those. It's a curse. It's horrible. Yeah.
It's a horrible.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, but it's interesting. It's interesting though, because like I've been trying to get more into like philosophy. Like I didn't know that the philosophy actually means a friend of science, because like it came from like the Greeks just kind of not liking gods, or like the idea that gods ran everything. So like fuck you guys. Like I come up with my own life, you know. But yeah.
Yeah. Um,
I'm trying to get more into these Greek guys, because what is it? What the guy's name was like, yeah, like Pythag.
Pythagoras.
That guy was yeah, like, because people know him for like the triangle thing, but he's actually a pretty cool, good philosopher too. It was yeah.
Yeah, he was like worshipped back then
Yeah,
too.
dude, and people just did everything. Like people literally wrote treatises on everything. Like they were like, all right, I'm a mathematician and and a philosopher, and metaphysics. They were all like fucking all across the board. It's,
Well, yeah, well, that's what philosophy meant. It's just
yeah,
love of knowledge.
it's amazing.
So people are just like philosophy means everything, and
Dude, especially in quarantine, I just fantasize about being in this like nice Athenian town with like rolling hills with like columns, and I just walk around and wander and think all day.
we're part of the half of 1% that got to sit around and think.
Dude, that'd be the fucking best. It's like being a comedian. Like you just get to like think and shit, and then like you just get to do shows. Like their version of shows is you're just in the amphitheater, you're blowing everyone's mind. Oh god,
Yeah.
it'd be amazing.
What did they call it? The Greeks had a word for it. It was where you went and just said it was like the first stand up or whatever, and you went and just
It's like
said,
open mic. Yeah,
yeah, you know how
yeah.
jesters in medieval times said the things you can't say to the king? There
Oh.
were meetings like that in Greece where they all got together and just said things they weren't supposed to say. And people would come and laugh because they're just like, oh shit, dude, up at each
Like
other.
being edgy back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay.
There,
So like Greece was so cool. Like, what was the downfall of Greece? Like, why did Greece not have a better run? Because this is such a cool place. I love Greece.
yeah, they just stopped being innovative.
Yeah, it just stopped at some point. Because when Greece was good, that was great. That
Yeah,
was
I think it was because of like the amount of leisure they were able to have at
yeah,
that.
that's true. I think they literally had too much fun. They were just having
Yeah,
too many orgies and like eating too many grapes and flapping around too many giant leaves. It was just a big
yeah, they
yeah.
they just needed leisure hours to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Then no one was working anymore. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
people who exempted themselves were able to sit around and think about shit
I want
and
that,
advance society.
dude. That's all I want. Like, man. Yeah,
Yeah, just like that's, I don't know. That's why we have an intellectual elite, I guess.
yeah,
Some
dude.
of
This is definitely making me want to play. What's that game? Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Is that good? I want to play that. It's not good.
no,
Ah,
I didn't like it. I
yeah,
mean,
I
just the
tried it.
combat system was so bad, I thought that I couldn't go on.
Wait, it's what system?
The combat system.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's annoying.
It was, yeah, it was like they do the thing where there's like a swoosh following your sword and all that. Fucking
it's like
add
a
that.
fucking
Why don't
arcade
you
game.
leave it as
Oh, I
a
don't want.
fucking axe that you hit people with?
Ah, this is the thing. It's like I want a cool video game where I can just feel like I'm in a place in history. Like Mountain Blade. That's why I like it.
Yeah, Mountain Blade Warband didn't have the swooshes. Like if you shoot an arrow, it has a tracer for some reason in Bannerlord.
Oh yeah, that's
I hate
true.
that shit.
Yeah, it's
It's
like a
just like
green
leave it as
tracer.
an arrow.
It's like Call of Duty. Yeah.
Yeah, they like advance the game. You're like, you know what would make the game better? If we added a swoosh behind weapons that are moving, that would make the game way
uh,
better.
no man.
They
Yeah. Wait.
spent
So
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 much time to make it worse.
wait. So if you have a PC now, then you should do fucking Twitch too.
I could
Twitch.
do that.
Yeah.
I can't. When I downloaded Bannerlord, I guess my computer sucks because I
Uh,
downloaded Bannerlord and the graphics were really bad. It's like they defaulted to so bad.
those goddamn Turks who made that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It actually is a Turkish studio. Yeah. Tail Worlds. I love them.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Saying there was no Armenian genocide and
Yeah.
making their games
It was
worse.
so funny. It's like it turns out you can't play as the Armenians in this game. They're like, yeah, they don't exist.
Whoa, yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Um,
Wait, should we call it a good
no, we should talk about the Marx Brothers.
the Marx? Oh, okay. Well, okay. Name your three top Marx movies.
I've seen only Duck Soup.
You only seen Doug. You haven't seen Night of the Opera or like the other ones?
No, I'll
Ah,
probably
man, you
watch
gotta.
those today.
Ah, dude. Oh, yeah, dude. I think Night of the Opera was my favorite actually. But Duck Soup
Yeah,
is great too. And is
yeah,
Duck Soup the war one where with the dictator? Yeah, that one's great.
yeah.
That one and Date the Races. That's another good one. Love both
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
I'll watch them, but I think Harpo's my favorite Marx Brother.
Oh, dude, Harpo's the best. That thing, that gag he does when he puts his leg in someone's arm. I love that. That's like my favorite thing.
Oh no!
So
He's
funny.
got this cute cherubic face.
Yeah.
I heard a story about Chico Marx. Do
Oh.
you know who Tallulah Bankhead was?
Let me Google her.
Yeah, she
Tallulah.
was an old time. She was like the most famous film actress in the world at one point. But she
Bank.
was the wittiest woman of all time. She was so
Oh.
witty, one of the wittiest people just of all
Oh,
time.
I've seen her. Yeah, she was in a lot of those old movies. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was so good, but she
Quite a
was
looker
very
too. My God.
promiscuous and open about it. She
Yeah.
just liked to fuck people. And
Ah.
Chico Marx met her, and, and somebody introduced him. They said, "This is Miss Tallulah Bankhead," and he said, "I'd like to fuck you, Miss Bankhead." And then she said, "And so you shall, you good old-fashioned boy."
Really? And they did.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. I love this. I love those kind of old like showbiz stories because it was like crazy, man. Like, oh my God.
yeah,
Speaking of which, like I was reading about like yeah, like fucking Berlin like back in the day was nuts. Like it was like pretty much until the Nazis, Berlin was like the craziest city ever. It was just
I know.
nuts. Yeah. It was-
That's so funny.
yeah.
And then there's a story about she saw she was like in a room entertaining a bunch of people, and they were all laughing because she was the funniest. And then a lover she hadn't seen in like 3 years walked in, and she immediately said, "I thought I told you to wait in the car." So funny.
Dude, what is it? Who's the other actress? I think it was Marlene Dietrich was a big. She was pretty promiscuous too.
Yeah, Marlena Dietrich. Yeah,
Yeah, because she would like bang soldiers like during World War II, like for morale. That's a that's amazing.
I bet she got some good bangs out of it.
Yeah, apparently she also got crabs like a lot because it was just going around the soldiers.
She
That's
liked
like
fun.
yeah, no, honestly that's amazing. I think that's great. That's cool. It probably
Yeah.
helped. Like I'm sure some guy like banged her, then like fucking killed like 17,000 Nazis the next day. It just yeah, like fucking like took over an entire like machine gun nest in like Italy by himself because he was just like so invigorated. Yeah,
He's like, she can't sing for shit, but boy, can she suck a cock.
yeah. It's like I've got to live so I can tell the boys back in Brooklyn. God damn it. Yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah.
That's so funny.
But you know, did you watch like Bannerlord like towards the end where they're just like going nuts, just like banging all these Dutch like townspeople?
No,
It's so great.
Tom Hanks like produced that, right?
Yeah, he produced it. He produced that one and the Pacific, and his son was in. Colin Hanks was in the Banner Brothers, and it was actually a great role. He did a good job, so it was good.
Yeah, no, he's a good actor.
Yeah, he's a great actor. He's good.
It's
His other
sad when
son
like
sucks.
people who are sons of famous people and daughters of famous people want to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's rough, but he actually proved himself because that's very rare that the son of the actor is also good.
Yeah,
Like Robert Downey
especially when
Jr.
they look like the other guy.
Yeah,
You're
exactly. Right.
expecting the same thing.
Yeah,
Like Kevin Farley, actually kind of funny, not in the same way as Chris, but
yeah.
you know.
Or Ben Stiller and what's his face? His dad was in Seinfeld. Yeah,
Yeah.
Frank Costanza.
I think Ben Stiller is so funny.
Well, yeah. What happened to him? He because Adam Sandler had like a comeback, but Ben Stiller's kind of been
Ben Stiller's rich as fuck and doesn't want to do
yeah, he
something.
doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. Yeah, Jim Carrey just lost his mind. You know. So,
Yeah. I know, man. Oh, I had shit. Oh yeah. I was gonna I had an idea about something, but I forgot it.
damn.
I was like, oh, I have to say this. And then
Oh man, but yeah, no, like honestly, like history is getting me through this. Like Civ 6, so I'm playing a lot of that. Dude,
yeah.
get Civilization 5, and then now you have a computer because it'll run on your computer.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, get Civilization 5 and Brave New World. that is like the greatest game with Brave New World. It's amazing.
Wow.
It's so
Have you
good.
played Evil Genius?
Oh yeah, I love Evil Genius. That's a great
It's
game.
so good.
Like the
I
James Bond
re-downloaded
game.
that, and
Yeah,
then
that's
it's
hilarious.
funny that they're like hidden torture devices.
Yeah, I played it for like an hour, but I remember I captured an agent and he ran away, and he's just like running around my base, just activating traps. It was like really funny.
And like
Yeah,
sabotaging
yeah,
shit.
that's a great game.
Yeah.
I also recommend Phantom Doctrine is really good. It's kind of like a XCOM game. It's like a turn-based strategy game, but it's during the Cold War. So you're either the CIA or KGB, and you have to like do missions, and it has like a cool map. It's a cool game. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Sid Meier's Pirates, of course. I've been
Oh
playing that.
yeah. Oh man,
And then I played so much Civilization that I got sick of it.
that's hard to
And I
do,
like
dude.
don't want to play it ever again because I played so much
I'm
in
telling you,
such a short
Civ
amount of
5 is
time.
the greatest civilization. That one is like unbeatable. It's so good.
Yeah, I'll have
Like,
to play it.
yeah, it's beautiful
And
too. Like it's 10 years old, but like the graphics are like drawn, so it still looks amazing. It's really
oh
good.
hell yeah.
Yeah, and it has
Okay.
like the best soundtrack. Like it has this like nice classical soundtrack.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I'm turning into such a like fucking monk now. Like I don't know. I'm just trying to use this quarantine to like become this like bastion of knowledge. That'd be nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do before the quarantine
Yeah,
is
but we
like
never
I
had time because
saw
we were like going to open mics and shit. Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to be like a monk for comedy where I went celibate and
Yes.
had nothing but like a chair and some books
This is
and
the
I
perfect
just
chance.
slept on the floor and I was a monk for comedy.
Dude, it's a perfect chance because none of us are gonna have any mojo when this is over. Like, imagine, like, when this is all over and we actually have to go back to talking to people. We're not gonna have our energy anymore. We're not
No.
gonna have any kind of spice or mojo or any kind of
We're all
like,
going to be rusty and then we'll
yeah,
have to bank on our natural talent and fuck
ah,
that.
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be like almost 28 when this is over. I'm not gonna have any marketability with the ladies. It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be kind of fun is the people who are really bad and then everyone hated and then got good over time
Yeah.
will be bad again.
Oh, and even worse.
Yeah.
Oh, they'd be horrible. Yeah.
It'll
Oh
be
my
so
god, dude,
horrible.
I'm. Oh my god, dude, the first week of comedy when we all come back, it's gonna be atrocious. It's gonna be so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I think it'll be joyful.
it'll be. Yeah, it'll I think people will be so ecstatic to come back that none of us will notice how bad we are, and it'll be.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
laughing at each other's failure because
yeah,
we're all fucking up.
yeah.
And just like, ah, he's fucking up too, and we're
No,
all
he's
fucking up,
great.
and it'll be an even playing
It's like,
field.
oh, he's trying to do his gags that he was trying to do on video mics, but they don't work in real life, do they, Buster? Yeah.
What an idiot.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like yeah. Nice try doing your prop comedy in real life, asshole. Yeah.
No.
God, I hate prop comedy so much. I hate props.
Some of
Yeah.
it's really funny. Actually,
Yeah.
Gallagher has some really funny shit.
Well, Gallagher. Yeah, Gallagher's Gallagher.
Yeah, when he's not smashing watermelons, he
Yeah.
has some funny gags.
Dude is nuts. Didn't he like sell the Gallagher name to his brother so his brother could like continue the legacy? It's pretty
Yeah, and
nuts.
then
Yeah.
it's really sad actually. His brother had that sledge-o-matic, and then so just Gallagher said Gallagher too could not use the sledge-o-matic, and he did anyway. And then the head came off and hit a lady in the face and like fucked up her face.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and
That's what
then
you
he
get for
got
going to a Gallagher show. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, don't do that. And they both got sued. And then Gallagher was like, "All right, no more Gallagher."
No more Gallagher. He was like pretty racist too. He was quite a strange man.
Was he?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, dude. Google the he was on Opie and Anthony with Patrice O'Neill, and they just like he has like a nervous breakdown. It's like really funny. Yeah, it's
So
great.
funny.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah,
Oh, man.
Larry the Cable Guy also has some jokes that are way too good for his audience.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of cursed himself because he typecast himself so much. He's not able to break out of his shell.
No,
Yeah, it's a he doomed himself. It's hubris. Yeah.
no, but he had some good jokes. Like they have very classic turns. Like he was like, I was living for a girl for 8 months until she found out I was living there.
Oh, that's great. It's just one of
No,
those jokes you're like driving back, you're like, that was good. That was
no,
good one, good one,
but
good
they're just like so self-conscious
one.
too.
Yeah.
Like he knows they're dumb, and they're just and that they just have like little goofy turns like that where you're like, oh,
Yeah, no,
Larry.
dude, that one like Jeff Foxworthy thing where he's like talking about like joke structure. He's like, some jokes are like bing bing bing, and some jokes are like bing 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 bang. And sometimes you just have to less bing bing, but sometimes you have to have more bing bang bang bang. Like, what the fuck are you saying, man? Like, what are you saying? Yeah, you
I love that.
madman. Yeah.
I love that.
No, but
I know.
they,
It's
they really
just
are
that,
like geniuses. They just look like idiots. They're there. Yeah.
yeah, they just like made a niche, so we
Yeah.
all hate them.
No, I'm pretty sure like Jeff Foxworthy like reads like high literature and
Yeah.
he hides it. Yeah.
Yeah, Larry the Cable Guy has a degree in drama and speech
Really?
from like a university that's not half bad.
Ah, yeah, because I just remember I know that in his early career he didn't have the accent. He actually was like a normal comedian, and
Yeah.
then and people told him not to do it, and he started doing it. So it was, yeah,
Yeah, and then he did
yeah.
Larry, and then it just took off.
Oh man, but you know I can't blame him if if I found some like racist archetype and it made me tons of money, I would kiss everything goodbye and just do it forever. And yeah.
Hey, I don't even know that he's racist. Is he?
Or sure, like not racist archetype, but like some kind of like like stereotypical caricature.
Oh yeah, I
Like
see. Okay, yeah.
if I could become like Arash the cab driver, yeah, I would do it forever. Yeah, my
Well, he
friend,
got
let's
rich
get this show on the
immediately.
road. Like I would do that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he got rich immediately off of it.
Oh yeah, because it's the
So how can
'90s.
you
Everyone
blame
loves
him?
that kind of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good joke of his. He said, so I went to the strip club and I gave a stripper some Monopoly money. And she said that this is fake. And I said, well, them's fake.
Oh my god, dude! That I mean, for its time, it is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
incredible.
I think it's funny right now.
Yeah, like nobody should act like that. Don't act as if that wouldn't kill in like 1997 in a fucking bar somewhere. That's incredible.
No, I just think that's a funny joke.
Oh
Just
god.
like I
Okay.
just think that's funny.
All right.
Well,
Okay.
them's fake. It's
Okay.
just so
On
like goofy.
on that note, we should call it good. I think that's a good way
No.
to end.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Anyway,
good.
okay. Uh,
Goodbye,
I,
everybody.
I,
This is it happened.
yeah. Honestly, I think this is a good format. I think this is actually easier because now it's all in one chunk. I can just export this. It's good.
Yeah,
All right. Cool.
absolutely.
All right. Well, follow us
And
on
then
Twitter. Tell your
I do want
friends.
to do the live ones.
Yeah, next time we'll stream it. So we'll tell you when we're gonna stream it, and we'll do it that way.
Yeah.
So it'll work.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, hell yeah. That was good. I'm glad we're back in the swing of things. Stay safe, everyone. Don't get the plague.
Yeah.
So
Don't
yep.
bone anybody in the butt who has
Yeah.
COVID or
Yeah.
whatever.
Don't form some kind of romance across the person. With the person across the balcony, where you leave each other nice little cute signs, and then you end up making love. Don't do that. It's not worth it. It's not good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm imagining people in Italy. You know how they're singing on
Yeah.
balconies and
Yeah.
shit. Just like two people in houses across from each other, just like watching each other whack off on balconies.
Like furiously, like two men just like. Wait. Okay. Hold on. Just before we end this, okay. I'll be guy number one. If you get, we should just pretend we're doing stuff, and then we make eye contact all of a sudden, and then we. All right.
It's like,
So I'm just like, yeah, but we're just like.
and then yeah, so they're like in these like nice white chairs, and they've got tea, and
Yeah.
they're these cultured Italians,
Yeah.
and then they're like they were professors at the same university,
Yeah. This is
and
all
they're
they can
like oh hello, Mister
do.
Mr. Professor, I am just over here.
Professore.
Professor, what have you been teaching on your webinars?
Oh, he's whacking off. A pleasure of the self.
Pleasure of the self.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Whacking off. That is what filmmakers have been doing artistically since the beginning of film. It is a noble pursuit. Um, that's funny.
Amazing.
Oh, have you seen Seventh Seal, the Bergman movie?
Oh yeah, of course. That the Virgin Spring, whatever. I've seen all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I that's the only Bergman movie I've seen, but he hated women a lot.
Yeah, he was pretty old fashioned. Like he made great movies, but he was not a
Yeah.
kind. Yeah,
There was one like the character who's like supposed to be the most reasonable character, the squire.
yeah.
He said women, it is hard to be with them, it is hard to be without them. It's best to kill them while it's still fun.
Oh,
He says that. He
jeez.
says that.
Whew. But it's funny because like his daughter, ironically, was a really good filmmaker too. Like Ingrid, she was great. So
Really?
yeah, she was very famous. So that's a bit
Oh,
ironic.
Ingrid Bergman, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, super good. Yeah, no, he was amazing. That's
There's a
very
story about
fucked up.
Ingrid Bergman where Dick Cavett was walking with Ingrid Bergman, and then he said, "Nobody's recognizing him." She said, "You want to see me recognized?" And she like just changed her walk, and then everyone is like, "Holy fuck, it's Ingrid Bergman!"
That's crazy. She was just like walking like this, just and everybody just knew that was her.
She did this like sexy walk, and then everybody knew.
Weird. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I forget where I heard this, but someone had this myth. It's like a legend. I've heard that like Joe Pesci just walks around New York all the time, and he doesn't use a sidewalk. He walks like in the street. It's like a pretty common thing to see Joe Pesci walking around.
That's so funny.
Very weird guy.
Yeah, that is weird. Oh my god.
All right. Well, okay. On that note.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye.
I just stopped the recording and we'll talk shop.
All right. Oh, it's gonna record.